It's time now for today's press review, and I'm joined in the studio by Antonia Kerrigan. Antonia, you're taking us back to our top story, the ongoing repression in Iran. Due to the internet blackout, we haven't been getting as much footage as we usually would, but you're hearing some things in the written press. Tell us more.
Absolutely. Let's look at the front page of Libération, which describes a tale of carnage in Iran. And their top story is this story that a journalist inside Iran has managed to get out of the country and into the French press. He describes in extremely vivid and chilling terms the loss Iranians have experienced in this week of blackout, congealed blood lining the pavements, law enforcement firing live rounds to the shock of protesters who also realise that law enforcement are often aiming for the head and upper body, shooting to kill, not to wound. And then the chaos in the mortuaries as families are charged the equivalent of €5,000 to recover the remains of their loved ones. This journalist even describes one father who lost 3 of his 5 children, who is now being asked to bring out €15,000 to get them back when he earns a salary of only $275. This journalist ends by saying that what's going on here is a concerted, all-out effort to ensure these stories not be told, be it in Iran or elsewhere. I'd like to show you the German press, Der Spiegel, which has this analysis piece, Why the Regime in Iran Has Not Yet Fallen. This piece makes a thesis on why not a single general has switched sides amid all this turmoil. And this journalist attributes that to a ruling political and economic class that practically owns the country, from infrastructure to land to oil terminals, that have created a separate class of cronies who, if they lose the regime, lose it all. The Washington Post also has a piece on what's next for Iran, how Trump can begin an Iran transition after the bloodbath. And it points to failures of past US attempts to impose regime change by force, for instance, Iraq and Afghanistan, and points to more covert tactics that have been successful in the past. And this journalist argues that it's extremely important for the US regime to work with the diaspora and also to work with moderate Iranians in situ. There's a very confident ending to this article, suggesting that the road may be long, but that this week the regime signed its own death warrant in blood.
All right, we'll continue to follow the situation in Iran. Turning now, though, to the UK, where the Conservative Party has taken yet another hit. That's after a high-profile defection to the far-right Reform Party, and it was the second one this week. Tell us what papers have been saying.
Well, it's fair to say it's on the front pages in the UK. The left-wing Daily Mirror is calling Reform Party Farage's party of Tory failures. That's one take, while the Daily Mail is bewailing this move for a different reason. They bewail the division on the right. They're saying stop fighting each other and end the Labour nightmare, addressed to both the far right and the right. Now, the Times have this account of how this defection happened. And, of course, this Tory shadow minister was in contact with officials from Reform since last September, was outed by a mole within his office to party leadership, who then fired him before he'd had a chance to leave. The Guardian has this piece giving us, going through the list of all those current and former Tory MPs who have already jumped ship to the far right. And what you'll really get, 18 of them, I should add. What you're really getting a sense of is the exchanges that are ongoing between Tory MPs still within the Conservative Party and those who have already moved, suggesting that boundary's a little bit more porous than you might imagine, and that there isn't that cordon sanitaire that you might expect. It would be remiss of me to not mention that the Reform Party are polling at a record high, just under 30%, far ahead of Labour and the Conservatives at the moment.
Reminds me as well of what we saw here in France between the traditional right and the far right as well. Finally from you, Antonia, Mattel have brought to the market a Barbie doll with autism, and the reactions are very divided. Tell us more.
Yes, well, autistic Barbie wears noise-cancelling headphones, has a loose-fitting dress to avoid skin-to-fabric contact, and has flexible wrists to allow for stimming behaviours. In a nutshell, reactions extremely varied. This article in The Conversation is written by 2 authors, one who's a researcher into autism, another who is autistic herself. And this article celebrates this move by Mattel as a feat for diversity. However, that is not unanimous. Mattel's autistic Barbie is a clumsy attempt at diversity, according to this piece in Unheard. They point out that representing visually an often invisible disability will never work, and it's also also an extremely varied disability. They say this is diversity washing for corporate profit and point out that, of course, the doll is supermodel skinny with long glossy hair and perfect makeup. So the usual comments on sexism also apply.
I was going to say she looks just like any other Barbie. All right, Antonia, thank you so much for that look through the papers. That was Antonia Kerrigan with our press review. Time for us to take a quick break, but stay with us on France 24 if you can. More news coming up in a few minutes.